You may have heard that the Supreme Court preserved a ban on religious charter schools last week. It was a controversial case, one from which Justice Amy Coney Barrett recused herself over whether religious schools could receive public funds. The Supreme Court upheld the decision from the Oklahoma State Supreme Court that religious schools could not receive public funds, and it did so with a single sentence, quote, "The judgment is affirmed by an equally divided court," end quote. Now, none of the usual majority or dissenting opinions, because there was no majority in this case. The vote was deadlocked at 4-4, and when that happens in the Supreme Court, the decision that the lower court arrived at stands. It's not the only Supreme Court decision to have an odd procedural element to it recently. The Trump administration's flurry of executive actions and the various legal challenges against them have piled up on the Supreme Court's emergency docket. So let's explain the different kinds of decisions that come out of the highest court in the land and what each of them mean. The most straightforward path for a case to get to the Supreme Court is for a plaintiff in a case to appeal the decision that was made by a lower court. Let's take, for example, the recent Supreme Court decision to uphold the Biden administration rules regulating and restricting the sale of ghost guns, firearm-making kits available online that people can assemble at home. Well, gun rights advocates challenged the gun restrictions in a lower court, and they sued in a federal court in Texas to block the ruling. Well, then the federal or district judge in Texas made a ruling agreeing with the gun rights advocates and issuing an order to block the restrictions nationwide. Now, when that decision was appealed, the Court of Appeals in the Fifth Circuit, which includes Texas, upheld that lower court's decision to block those block the restrictions. In early 2024, then Attorney General Merrick Garland asked the Supreme Court to take up the case, which the Supreme Court agreed to do. The DOJ often asks the Supreme Court to take up cases. Now, it received written and oral arguments from both sides, and the court released a full ruling, 7-2, reversing the appeals court's ruling and upholding the Biden-era regulations on the sale of ghost guns. The majority released a written opinion, and Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito both wrote dissents. Now, that's generally how a normal Supreme Court case works. However, outside the normal docket of cases, the court chooses to take up each term. There's something called an emergency or shadow docket. These are cases which are fast-tracked to the Supreme Court without the traditional decision and appeal process, if the court deems that one party might suffer irreparable harm as a result of the law being upheld. The Trump administration has currently got 5 cases on its emergency docket, unusually high in the court's history. Cases on the emergency docket do not get the traditional Supreme Court treatment. There are typically no oral arguments, and the timeline for decision-making is much shorter. Now, decisions in the emergency docket cases are often what the court calls per curiam. These are unsigned, shorter decisions. The direct Latin translation is by the court, but don't let that imply that these are unanimous decisions. It's just typical for quickly resolved cases to be treated this way. In April, the Supreme Court put a per curiam hold on an order by a federal or district judge that would have reinstated federal education grants that had been cut off by the Trump administration. This wasn't a case that worked through the normal process. It was on the emergency docket, though the decision was unsigned. What we do know is that 3 justices dissented. Then there are administrative stays, like a pause on a law. We've got a fresh example of one of those, too. On Friday, Chief Justice John Roberts temporarily shielded Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from Freedom of Information requests by granting an administrative stay. So these are just a few of the different flavors of a Supreme Court decision.